just to
Oh,
show you my face a
nice
little
to
bit.
see you. Lovely. Yeah. Good to see
Hi,
you.
Loretta. Hi, Sister Madhvi. Om Shanti. Hi,
Hey,
Hi,
everybody.
Gabby.
Gabby.
Hi.
Hi, Gabby.
Good evening.
Good
Hi, happy to
evening.
be
Good
here.
evening.
Happy
How
to
are
see
you,
your
Gabby?
faces. I'm
Yeah, it's
doing good.
always
How are you?
Good.
Gabby. Are you in Miami all the time? You moved
You
there?
know, no, I was with family for some time, but I'm back in New Jersey now.
Oh, you are. Okay. Welcome back.
Yes, thank you.
That's wonderful. Yeah, lovely to see you, Gabby.
So
Wonderful.
good to see you.
Yeah. So, last month in March, we focused on the value of the power of happiness, and we went into various discussions about what is this happiness and how can we consistently have it, and what are some of the things that we have to remember to experience that happiness in a constant and stable way. And how are you doing with that happiness after a whole month of uh, churning and reflections on happiness? Hope this, the light of happiness is has been ignited and it's continuing inside you, and hope the mercury is more stable, mercury of happiness. So it's April and today is April 1st, April Fool's Day. Did anybody fool you today? No, actually no one did to me yet. So I was thinking, what is that for April? What are some of the reflections that we can do? And I've learned that, one of the spiritual meanings of April um, is actually to have balance. This is the month of balance, to have a balanced lifestyle, um, to emerge the balance. And also, April is, the spring days have begun, the newness has begun, and so when spring begins, we know how we look forward to the flowers, to the sunshine, to the chirping of birds, and lots of wonderful things. And definitely it's amazing to watch this transition that takes place here, especially in New York. We see a very dramatic shift that happens. And yes, last week I was in the Catskills, and in the mountains, you can really see, the shift. Not yet, it's still cold there, but it's definitely, the wonder of the nature, how, the shift that happens in the nature from everything being so dead and dry, and then it starts to bloom and blossom and beautiful flowers. Um, we just had our daffodils, and so yeah, I think it's a time of new beginning, to say bye bye to the old, and to bring spring even into our lives, those blossoms into our lives, with this powerful reflection, or the the ingredient of balance. And so let us see what is this balance about. So I've put a few thoughts together, and I was really thinking about it. And once I started to reflect, I felt, it's an amazing virtue, this balance. It has so many faces and forms, so much to actually churn about and also learn about this balance. Let's see how much we'll be able to do today, and then we'll continue, you know, um, doing the rest of the session, half of the session next week, part two we can do. So let me just bring up a few slides that I've prepared for this session.
Sister Madhvi, it's a noise going on.
Some noise?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what noise is that. Maybe it just could be, you know, the noise of the computer, I guess. Can you hear it now? Let me see.
I don't know,
Too
maybe it's
loud?
just me. Yeah, it looks like it's a fan or something. Is it just me or it's a noise for everyone?
Nobody's answering.
I've noticed it every time, but it's not disruptive. I think what Sister Mavi said is like the
The-
motor of the computer.
yeah.
Okay.
Why-
It's
Okay.
always there every time.
Yeah, I think these days it's making a little more noise than before. So let's see how we're going to, what reflections come up with this virtue of balance. So, balance, so when we have this balance, it's balance growing and moving forward. So it's about, yes, it's about spring we were talking about, and so it's growing and moving forward with balance. So let's see what it is. And so for balance, it is important to find the fulcrum, the point of strength and stability. We all know how important is this balance in our life, right? How many times we are juggling to fulfill all the responsibilities in life, or towards ourselves or the family or career, work, and so many things. And really, if we see, are we able to actually manage everything in our life, in a balanced way? Or sometimes is it that we're managing and we find ourselves that we are sucked into something to such an extent that we start to become stressed out. you know. So balance is something, it stands on that point of strength, right? It's a very fine point that I need to actually find to create that sort of balance in my life. And so even if we see the fulcrum, science describes that you need that point of balance. Even like, it's very interesting when people actually arrange these stones, right? Have you seen how they arrange the stones? But it's really not a joke how they arrange, it really needs a lot of concentration and silence when they do that. And I was actually watching a video which I'll show you. Very beautifully, she was explaining how she has to actually find that point of balance, and once she finds it, sometimes it is easy to find that point of balance, and sometimes it takes some time. So even in our life, that one needs to really pause and see how I'm actually managing things in my life. What is that point of balance in my life where everything is put on that balance, and it's wonderfully stabilized. So but coming to a human life, in the human life, that point of stability is actually the soul. And this is where before even we uh, you know we try to find balance with different things, it is important to actually come back to myself, because it's me who is balancing so many things. Have you seen people how they're standing on a ball or on something, and then they're balancing something with one hand and they're balancing something with the other hand? So how they are doing it. Also, if you see, interestingly, in India, how there is a state called Rajasthan, and women actually, they carry these earthenware pots on their head, and they carry so many pots one upon the other. They keep and they don't even hold it. It's just the balance. I don't know how they balance it. So so many things, so many tricks we do, and also people who actually walk on the tightrope, they balance it. And so if we see all these physical aspects we are able to balance, what is it difficult to balance the roles and responsibilities in our life? Are we feeling stressful to balance out these things? If in an art form, if we are able to balance so many things, like either it could be the example of putting the stones, arranging the balancing the stones, or balancing the pots on the head. And I was seeing an image where a person on a bicycle, he had so many baskets holding together, and on a tiny cycle, on a bicycle, he's riding it. And so many physical aspects we are trying to balance out, but what about the things in our life? So but in each of these examples, somewhere they have found that inner stability in themselves. Somewhere they're internally grounded, that they have actually mastered the skill of holding things externally. You know what I mean? Somewhere it's an internal, some sort of strength is allowing them to actually externally balance those things. So in the same way, there are so many roles and responsibilities one need to play in each one's lives. But it all actually comes back to the first and foremost, that point I need to figure out in my life. It's actually me, the self, because the balance begins from the self. I need to, that point of balance is actually I, the soul. And once I understand that I, the soul, I need to balance myself, that point of stability is actually me, then I become that fulcrum. And when I am stable, I'm able to manage everything that's going on around. But, somewhere in life, people have taught us that what becomes important is okay, your family comes first, or your work comes first, and nobody actually taught us to really give time to ourselves. If you remember, even last session when we were doing about relationships, are happy relationships possible? And even in that session, we were emphasizing on the importance of first being happy and forging a relationship with the self. And I think every virtue begins from there. Even when we talk about balance, if we are juggling, how am I going to do so many things in my life? I think it first comes back to me to first make myself grounded. So it's like when we wake up in the morning, just think about yourself. When you woke up this morning, what are some of the thoughts you had? Oh gosh, I need to do this email, or today I have a deadline, or I need to finish this, or my children are, maybe examinations, or whatever, so many things flow. But that's what it is. When I wake up, the first 10 minutes, even I center myself and I sit quietly, just freshen up for the first 10-15 minutes. Allow yourself to find that point, that soul, to just become so silent. Because when I center myself, I know how to handle all these arts that I have in my life. So when you wake up, the first 10 to 15 minutes, just calm down. Don't jump into the things that you need to do. And that's how mostly we do when we wake up. We jump into our things, our tasks and responsibilities. But just find that time. Now, don't say I don't have time. Maybe make yourself your schedule in such a way that maybe wake up like 10 minutes a little early, you know and then just sit down. That 10-15 minutes is only for you. Just be yourself, and just don't rush into the task and things that you have to do. Just sit down for 10-15 minutes first thing when you wake up, and find that center point, that soul within yourself, you, the soul, the self. and experience that silence or an affirmation inside, and make yourself grounded. And when you become that point of balance, you're able to balance things that are happening. But unfortunately today, we just jump into things. We think tasks and things and responsibilities are important. So we live in a world of duality, and at every second we have to make decisions, right? About where we sit between so many extremes. There are so many extremes. Okay, work is also important, then self is also important. Sometimes family is important, and you want to spend time with your family, but you don't get off from work, right? And then sometimes there is those frustrations, like, I need to spend time with my family. What is this? I'm tied up with work. And sometimes, did you notice yourself that you begin a task and you see yourself drowning into that task, and you feel like, oh my gosh, why did I even take this task up? I shouldn't have actually committed. Right? We feel all these things. So just think for a moment, this is really balance possible. It is possible. I just need to give a little time, a little detachment from my task and responsibilities, and calm down and watch. And I can definitely find that point of balance to balance out things. But of course, it may feel a little challenging, to balance out all these things. But I really feel like, um, that where are we all heading? You know, Sometimes maybe we are crossing our limits of ambition. Maybe we are becoming sometimes over ambitious, that we are not able to handle things in our life. I need to do this as well. I need to impress this one as well. I need to handle this one as well. Mhm. And in all these things, I'm actually, slipping that point of balance, which is actually me, you know, the powerful one. And so pause and think for yourself, how many things are you managing, and how better and best are you managing? Or are you pushing yourself to manage? So if you're pushing yourself to manage, pause. Maybe there is a change that you need to make. There is a transformation you need to, make there. So it's also like, I need to check, am I in the rat race? Sometimes it happens, right? I mean, nowadays, if we see parents are working, wife is working, husband is working, and then they put children into so much of pressure, like, studying, and then this art and that music and this thing and that thing. And sometimes parents don't even have time to check how overwhelmed the kid is actually getting. Is the kid is able to actually balance everything? Is the kid experiencing any stress? I think as parents, it is important to pause even and check, how is my child doing? It's not just pushing them into things because I want to live up to the standards of the society, because it's all about competition, no? Oh, my children shouldn't remain behind, or, but we're just overloading ourselves with things. We're just overloading in 24 hours. How many things can we do? And so sometimes I have to feel it's okay if I'm, unable to do something. It's okay. It's not just stressing myself to finish off things and to get there, in that rat race. And the whole point in this, in this imbalance, is that I'm losing myself. That's what I have to remember. So many times we do juggle even with our emotions, right? Sometimes we don't know whether we should do something or we shouldn't do something, whether we should tolerate something or we should face something, or whether we should say something or just be quiet. So, in all these emotions, also, we are finding that balance. Should I do or should I not? If we feel challenged with our boss or somebody, should I say or should I not? Or we are angry about something, should I, all these emotions wise also we experience sometimes these emotions, these imbalances going on. So one of the things, as I was talking about this balance, is this balance actually um, definitely comes from the power of discernment. So as we were talking about, when we wake up in the morning, give yourself those few moments of time. When you center yourself and you become calm, when you begin your day really with few moments of meditation, few moments of reflection or affirmation, you're actually creating, you're generating that power of discernment. The power of discernment is like you're able to, what is right, right? Like what is true, what is false. Okay, where I can give time, where I should withdraw myself. How much I can give time and how much I can withdraw myself. So what are my priorities? Basically, that's what I'm learning and understanding from having the power of discernment. It's just like, everything glitters is not gold. And sometimes, we run after things which may not be necessary and important, or um, which is not really giving us contentment, but because sometimes we are in the, race of the world to show, you know, I have this, look at me, I can also do. So this sort of, race, we're actually losing our balance and sanity. And so giving that moments of some time and, reflecting and stepping back sometimes and saying, it's okay, if even I didn't, get to that point, it's okay. You know, the first and foremost thing is my sanity, my peace of mind, right? If I lose that, then I cannot get nowhere actually. Even if I get to a certain point, there'll be sort of like void or discontentment. And so this sort of understanding of, finding the point of balance actually allows me to increase my power of discernment, where I'm able to actually see what's going on in the world, what's going on in my life, where can I find that balance and do things that are actually important. So discernment is helping me to prioritize. So yeah, sometimes, we ourselves actually get into too many things. So our mind will be like that pole with all the wires, you see. Did you experience your mind to be like that sometimes? Mm, yeah, we all do, right? I mean, where to begin, where to stop, or what? And sometimes we get so stressed. Sometimes we get fed up, even with our family members or children, and it's too much to handle. And so we start to complain about life, or we start to complain about the work that we have. So actually, the greatest stress does not come from overwork, but from the worry that we are neglecting an area of our life. Somewhere, somewhere I'm actually neglecting an area of my life. And so when I'm overloaded, then I feel like, oh gosh, say for example, your health and well-being, it's such an important factor in our life, right? If health is there, yes, there is everything, right? If there is no health, what can you do? Nothing. We can't meditate, we can't do work, we can't spend time with our family, nothing. Health is so important. And sometimes we compromise our health when it comes to work. How many times have you found yourself say, it happens with mothers too, they take care of their kids and work, and then they're cooking, and in all this sometimes you even forget to drink water. How many times it happens, right? And then we get dehydrated, and having getting dehydrated, sometimes you get migraines, and health gets disturbed. And so somewhere, a part of our life, somewhere we are neglecting, that's what actually causes worry. It's not actually the work. And so that's why it all comes back to the self. How am I actually internally managing the soul, internally managing my mind, internally managing my thoughts? Anytime any work or anything that you're doing starts to give you stress, that means it's a call for me to actually step back. Anything. It could be work, it could be a relationship, it could be anything. Because it's not worth, no? What's the point I'm doing and I'm unhappy about it? So it's definitely that call. If I'm feeling stressful about anything, it's a call that I'm actually neglecting something that is very important in my life, and I have to pause and check what is that. And it happens with relationships also. Sometimes, you're working. It's like, some are workaholics. And so to avoid relationships, say, they engage themselves in too much of work. But what is happening is, somewhere, because you are neglecting something, um, it's still not a balanced life. It's still not giving you a complete life, a complete happiness, because somewhere I'm neglecting something. So many do that in the world today, that to avoid somebody or to avoid something, they become workaholics, or they, go into things that create a lot of imbalance. And so I have to really, really, really learn, with the power of discernment, I have to really learn to honor my priorities. What are my priorities? I have to really, really check. And I have to create this balance of body and soul. And so in the world, we are so much taught to give time, and the time towards the body, meaning everything that is connected to the body, meaning material, it could be your physical, and so a lot of time goes into taking care of, it could be taking care of the body or the bodily relationships or work and all of these things, but very, very less time we are actually giving to the soul, to the self. Soul meaning the self. I'm giving time that is mine to mine, mine. So mine is what? Mine is my body, my relationship, my work, everything that I've acquired. So I have actually learned to give time to that which I've acquired, but I'm forgetting that complete, that pivotal, that point of balance, which is actually me who is balancing everything. And so there is absolute imbalance. And that's where at some point, we get so stressed out with relationships, with anything that's going on. Today it's like, soul has been completely neglected, and so the balance is like this, overloaded with all these things, and no, you know time for the being, for the soul. So because of this imbalance, we have become actually today, doers. We're just into doing, action oriented, but we have forgotten to be. If I don't learn to be, then my actions will go wrong, absolutely wrong. So, spirituality is teaching me to increase this power of discernment, to understand, to learn my responsibilities, to honor my priorities. And so, the first and foremost priority for a balanced lifestyle is to take care of yourself. Excuse me. So the first priority is, I have to be stable and peaceful inside. If I'm not that, no matter what I'm doing in my life, it will be a huge discontentment. I won't be happy about things because I'm not happy inside. I'm not stable inside. So it's like again coming back to that fulcrum, right? And so if that center point is stable, then everything goes well. So if I learn to be internally, I, the soul, I learn to be, then I know from that power how I need to do things in the right way. So creating a balanced lifestyle, meaning being and doing should be aligned. I, the soul, I be, and that from that being, from that stability, I'm actually doing. Then I'm transmitting whatever is in the being to doing. If the being is stable and peaceful, whatever I'm doing, that's stable and peaceful. So, say if I'm completely unstable and peaceless inside, then how would be my relationships? How would I handle my relationships? The same way. Whatever is the point of balance inside, that's what I'm happening outside. That's what I'm giving outside. Right? So the first and foremost priority is to become stable and peaceful inside. So please, listening to this session, make that priority. Every day early in the morning, give some time yourself, even before you start any task of your day. Don't say, okay, when everything is done at 10 o'clock, I'll sit. At 12 in the afternoon, I'll sit. Or when I get time, I'll sit. No, but the first few moments of your day are the most important moments for you, because those are the moments when you're fresh, your mind is just awakened, like you're fresh. Those are the moments you have to give to yourself. It's not that when everything is done, I am so tired, and then okay, I'll give some time for myself, then I don't even feel like giving. Mhm. So before even you go to work, before even you start anything, start from yourself. I remember many years ago, I don't know which company it is, one of the companies I was doing this meditation session, and this young lady, she asked me, give me a very simple tip to meditate. I can't sit for a long time. I don't know how to even experience. I said, okay, do one thing. That do you take the train, or do you walk? Do you drive to your work? She said, oh, she takes the subway to her work. I said, how long do you walk from the subway to your work? She said about 7 minutes she walks. I said, okay, that's 7 minutes. That's 7 minutes. Can you commit to hold a pure awareness inside you as you walk to your workplace? But you have to commit that 7 minutes really holding onto pure thoughts, to your sanity, to your peace. You can think any pure thought, but that pure thought is actually allowing you to calm down. Even as you're walking that 7 minutes, you're looking at different scenes happening in Manhattan, but then still you're detached. You're looking as a detached observer. And then go to your work and start your work from there. After a month or so, when I went back, she really told me that she said that she was practicing those 7 minutes. And what made a difference is the way actually she started her work when she got to her workplace. She said before she was in a rush, like, oh, I have to start the computer, okay, I have to do this. But then she said that 7 minutes, when she committed those 7 minutes to balance herself, she said the way she started her work made a difference. And so this is what I mean, like, being and doing, the balance between being, because she was herself, she brought that balance, that 7 minutes. It impacted the way she was doing things. She started her work. And so, yes, so when I actually give that valuable time to myself, the second priority is, of course, the relationships that I have. And so when I'm stable and peaceful inside, I know how to actually have loving and respectful relationships with everyone. If I myself I'm frustrated and I'm feeling I'm overdoing, I'm too tired, look, I have to do everything, nobody does anything, right? Sometimes all these things happen at home, at work, and then we get frustrated, and then it comes out in our relationships. Then we start having conflict that every time I have to do, don't you want to do it? Aren't you going to do it? All these sorts of things, and then we may become very disrespectful in handling our relationships. So yes, giving that priority to our relationships is also important, but it comes from the self. And so yes, give some time. Again, another story I would like to share is that this mother, she was telling me that she has three kids, and somehow the relationship between the mother and the kids was starting to feel a bit disconnected because the children are off into their work and their own lifestyles. And so the mother was feeling a bit as if the relationship was um, unstable. And so I just said to her, she was asking what to do, what can I do, to feel that bond again. Somehow something is missing. She was saying, I said, why don't you once a week just invite your kids, your children, and have a meal together? And have a meal together, sit, talk about your things after you eat, spend some time and make it a priority that every once a week and you do it for sure. And she said it made a difference when she started to do, because after they ate, they sat, they were, talking about stuff, and then the mother knows what's going on, and then the children know now what the mother is feeling. So I think, we should give that time to our relationships too. But this is what is a problem today, many youngsters, and it's happening, I think, also in adults too, that, when um, we are more into our tech business than relationships today. Say, being in one house, it's like, the kid is texting the mother and the mother is texting someone. It's like, you know, it's this texting business, and we don't want to much connect to each other. Those days of gone, like, where the mother used to, with love, she used to feed the child, and telling the stories. Or how many of you mothers or parents do that to your kids? If you have kids, anybody on this call, that before you go to bed, reading a story to them. You know I think I think these little things make a lot of difference in relationships when we give that little time, so that we make that balance, and no one feels left out, and feeling lonely. And especially with this pandemic and all, many people were saying that they're feeling lonely, and because they're all alone doing things. um, I think, yes, it's important to give that time to relationships as well. And then comes the task. So, first is me, I, the soul. Second is my relationships. And third comes the task. Never compromise your relationships, jumping into the task, and never compromise yourself. Sometimes we make task so important that we even forget how we are actually communicating and talking to each other, how we are behaving with each other. We think this thing should get it done, and we completely forget how we are behaving with each other, right? Sometimes why this task didn't get done, why this, or the task becomes important, and then we forget how we are even communicating with each other. We become angry towards each other sometimes. always task is the third or the last, really, you know, because when we become too task oriented, ego jumps in, and then we don't even see how others are feeling. All we want to do is correct them, and we become Mr. and Miss, perfect, and we forget important, delicate things can break. So task will definitely get done when I have my stability and my peace of mind and my relationships are good. Task will automatically get done. Why? Because I will actually experience cooperation. When I'm too headstrong person, no one would want to work with me. When I'm internally disturbed, no one wants to cooperate with me, right? But when I know how to balance myself, when I have that, you know, that lightness, that easiness, that humility, then everyone definitely wants to cooperate. So a task like mountain also, with this balance, I'm able to actually get it done with cooperation. So cooperation comes from good relationships. So check anywhere if you feel you're left alone to do things. So where you're going wrong, that you're left alone to do. Why isn't that somebody's not cooperating? I need to check myself by demanding, pushing someone. I cannot get the task done. So another important aspect in balance is that optimal. So finding that right balance. Balance is always like that, right? So you have to balance it out on that point. And so it's finding that right balance actually. So maybe here I'll actually pause and show you this nice video, just like 5 minutes. One sec.
I really love balancing stones, mostly because I think it's such a great way to balance
myself and to create something beautiful at the same time.
Even though
a little wind is enough to make it look like your sculpture never balancing stones, mostly because I think it's such a great way to also balance myself and to create something beautiful at the same time. But in this moment, as I try to find a tiny, tiny little balance point, my thoughts are completely silent. And that's a very good feeling. Sometimes it only takes a couple of minutes to make a balance, and sometimes an hour. But when it's done, I love to watch the stone balance. It looks so still and quiet in a world that is constantly moving. Very often, I see people commenting that it's fake, that it's impossible to do this, and that it's photoshopped or glue. But I kinda get excited about those reactions, because it's a proof that there is so much more in this life than we could ever imagine. If some people think that this is impossible, imagine then how many more things there is in life that we still think is impossible, just because we never really tried it. Just because we already put the frames on what is possible and not. I also get a lot of questions about how to learn this, and my advice is just go get out there, find some stones, play around and have fun. After a while, you will get to know the stones and get a feeling of how to balance them in the best way. And you will learn to see which stones works best together. You might spend a lot of time trying to balance a stone that will never balance, but you learn something every time, and it's a wonderful way of spending time in nature. Depending on what kind of stone balance you're doing, the balance point can be really tiny. So the movements that you do while adjusting the stones to find the balance point are so tiny that you can barely see it with your eyes. You just feel it with your hands. And when you finally find that tiny balance point, the gravity will be there for you to hold your stones together.
Are you able to see the slides?
Yes.
Okay, just a second. Okay. Isn't that beautiful what she shared? Very beautiful. And you see, she says that when you spend time, you feel it actually difficult, but when you spend time, you will start to actually understand the type of stone and the balance point and all of that. So anything in life is like that. After actually, give some time. Without giving time, nothing can be accomplished just like that.
It's just beautiful. And the way she said it, she said sometimes you don't see it, but you feel the movement.
Mm.
And sometimes we feel like what we see with our eyes is just possible or impossible. But we got to try and work on it and just make like a little improvement, a little bit at a time. I was always fascinated by these balancing stones. I see them everywhere. I see them a lot in Toronto when I go by
Really?
the lake. Yeah, it's like probably it's a person there that does it. It's like massive. I have pictures. When I'm gonna find them, I'm gonna send them to you.
Sure.
Amazing.
Mm.
Like tall and stuff, and that's what you get, the feeling that it's impossible, but somebody does it.
Mm.
No
Yeah, she said
tricks.
you can feel it with your hands, she said, like.
Yes, and the vibration that the stone working with the gravity and the water in our case. So, but what else? I mean, I never thought of it actually because I never tried myself. When she said in that moment, that can be minutes or hours,
Mm.
actually you forget to think about other things. You're just so focused there,
Mm.
and that's basically what we're trying to do in meditation, like just focus on our breath and our thinking now.
Right. Right, you're so right. And then that's what she said. Like once when you're doing, you become so silent, you become so focused, you become so
Yes,
concentrated. And I think this whole balance aspect is about that, right? It's about,
yes, got to be.
mm, it is that absolute, that sort of focus and concentration. And, in that moment, as you said, Loretta, that, there is nothing, like nothing exists, and you're so focused in it. And that's where you find your that point of balance, that right balance, just right amount of effort. We know about this tight rope. It's such a sensitive thing, right? I mean, um, anybody tried walking on a rope? It's such a sensitive thing. Even slight imbalance, you can actually fall. Mm. So just that right amount, meaning like, being optimal is like, having that just that right amount of doing everything, not too much. And if I'm doing, too little, then I'm pulled towards it. If I'm doing anything too little, if I'm giving time very little to myself, I'll be pulled. I'll feel somewhere, oh, I didn't get proper sleep. I didn't do my meditation. Or, I didn't take that time to, to feel myself. So I'll be pulled to do it again and again. And if I do too much, then I'm pinched, then I'm like, I will feel that kind of, deviation. So it's that absolute finding that absolute balance of, not too much nor too little. And so it's an amazing, amazing, amazing quality, this balance. Really, the more we go into the depth of it, the more it really feels interesting to understand this concept. And so here is a quote from Lida Horney, and she says that it's not the load that breaks you, it's how you carry it. We all have load in our life. From little children, look at even the kindergarten children, and children who are at school, even they have so much of load to carry with their school, and parents' pressure and teachers and this and that. So much they have to do. And so we all actually have these loads, but it's that art that I need to know how to actually carry it. It's that art I need to know how to carry it. And as I was mentioning this thing about, these ladies actually carry so many pots one upon the other. It's amazing how they do it. It's just the art, it's I need to know how I need to carry them. So carrying too much or carrying it in an unbalanced way can make it fall. So we have things in our life. I need to learn how to carry it. And if I don't carry it in a balanced way, then it makes me fall. Again, going back, see all these slides as we are doing. Don't forget the first slide about the priority of the self. If the soul isn't happy, if the soul isn't balanced, if I don't have that sort of internal peace of mind, internal stability, then nothing is working in my life. So when that balance is there, I'm able to actually carry on everything very well. Even an extreme of something good can pull me off the balance. Sometimes something good, and we like to do it again and again and again, and it's not good, right? Even the habits, that's how habits are formed, right? Sometimes we like something and we overeat it, and we get addicted to it. Sometimes, we do it overly, and that's not good too. It something, it disturbs the health, it disturbs the mind, and so the nature will tell me, it will pull me off from that. So this nature is always, pushing or pulling me to do something to create that balance. And so anything even good, I need to balance how to do it. It's not that, sometimes someone said like, oh, I was meditating so much that I was cooking something, it got burned. Now that's not meditation. If you're really meditating, you should get it touching, or, you should feel like you should be more alert. See, meditation is not passive. This is what many people think, oh, how can I meditate doing so much of work and all of these things? Meditation, please try and understand, meditation is not passive. I'm not like a hermit meditating. Actually, meditation makes me more alert, uh, awake. It makes me more focused. Meditation makes me more concentrated, more sensible actually. I'll understand when to do what, and that's what we were talking about, the power of discernment. I understand what to do when. It's not that I was meditating and then I was sitting in the subway and I forgot my stop and I, you know, and I lost, I missed my stop. No, that's not what meditation is. It creates an absolute balance of mind, balance of thinking in my life. So anything good also, if you're addicted to it, check now. Anything that is you feel it's good and you're visiting it again and again and you're into it, create a balance. Even that is not good. So it's like finding the right balance, holding it with dignity and keeping my eyes focused forward always allows me to maintain a steady pace towards my goal. It's all about being balanced. And so when I'm balanced, only then I'm able to actually walk and move forward. The growth only happens when there is balance. Just think, if there is an imbalance in your feet, can you walk properly? Can you move forward? No, your pace actually becomes unstable, right? You do not have the same pace as others. So there are two things here. You have to actually uh, your your walk, meaning you're moving forward, and at the same time focused also. If you're if you do not have, if you don't know how to take care of yourself internally, how to balance yourself, then what you're missing is it's like your inner eye is closed. And when your inner eye is closed, then you miss the balance. Let me give you an example. Like, have you ever experienced, like, try and see this. Try and stand on one leg, um, or try and actually walk on a treadmill, say. Um, Walk with your eyes open and with your eyes closed. Actually, try and balance on one leg with your eyes open, and try and balance on one leg with your eyes closed. See how much of difference there'll be. The moment you close eyes and you're trying to balance on one leg, your balance starts to shake. There is some connection, between our feet and our eyes, and this movement in our body and our eyes. And so that's why, for balance, I need my inner eye to be open. For the inner eye to be open, every day some spiritual study is important, because some spiritual study will allow your understanding to grow. Information, just like how when we give information, you have such an understanding about things. In the same way, the soul, okay, the brain needs this information, the body needs information, but the soul needs this knowledge, you can say, reflections, you can say, affirmations, you can say, that you need for this inner eye to be open, so that I'm able to actually walk on that. Our life today is like that tightrope. Life today, managing so many things, is walking like on a tightrope. So yes, so our pace, our third eye, should be balanced, should be open, and of course, our feet, that steadiness, that dignity, so that I can reach my goal. And so there are no right or wrong sides to fall. You're on the track, you're walking, you fall anyway. It's not right or wrong. You fall, you fall. All right. And so that balance, creating that balance is important. Another aspect is the strongest balance is a result of two strengths coming together to complement each other. It's not that I would neglect one thing and just prioritize another thing. That won't create balance. Two strengths coming together only creates balance. So I can't say I'll neglect my family and then I'll become a workaholic, I can earn. No, it doesn't work like that. So if I want to experience success, income, health, then there is a balance of two strengths. I have to balance out. It's not that one I would neglect and one I would say I can do it. So as I was giving the example, no, about the workaholics, how they just work, 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 but then at some point they'll to they know how to create balance. I need to understand what actually is necessary. It's not so. So that's what a few thoughts about balance. You're well, no.
Because it's like almost like the beginning, what you said about, us being in a world of duality.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everything's a balance, even finding balance is a balance. So it's kind of like, how can we, balance the doing and the being, or, sometimes we feel like we need to keep learning and then we're not holding space, or, we need to, I don't know. So yeah, I took a lot of notes because it's something I've been struggling with. And I think it's always, right? We have to be our own teacher. We get something, we have to keep moving forward and balancing. So it's never like we're done. Yeah. Balance. No, the rock falls over. The weight changes, the world, all the dualities. So no, this was very helpful for me. And it's something definitely that I'm going to try to implement, more moments of silence. And at the end of the day, it's always coming back, right, to ourselves. And like you said, I like that the rest, the tasks will get done because you're coming from a better place and you have cooperation, you have better relationships. And that's normally when we struggle, when we're overwhelmed, we can't even do a task, when we're fighting with other people or relationships, or we're like focused on that. So I really enjoyed the lesson today. Thank you so much. I needed it. I'm like, oh my God, good thing I was here.
That's wonderful. Yeah, glad you. I mean, it's lovely to see you actually. Yeah,
I know, I needed it.
Yeah.
That's like perfect how that worked out. So good to see you.
Yeah, thanks, Gabby.
Thank you.
Very good session, Madhavi.
Yes.
And it was just like the last slide. I really like it, to balance yourself. And this was very timely for me. And you won't believe, I took a totally 1 month off from my work. I had it last 30 years with the job and pressure and bosses. And then I realized it affecting me emotionally, psychologically, stressed out. I said, no matter what, as such, I wanted to give up. But then, this 1 month, almost last 1 year, I'm attending all the session. And it just, I work on myself. And I say, let me take time off from work, no matter what it is. And it really reflect you, that environment make you so stressed out, and you won't believe, this 1 month I got such a focus, so much energy. And every day morning, previously I used to get up and rush. Now every day morning I don't rush myself. First thing, I just in my bed, little bit meditation, and I take a bath. Then I take a time off. 10-15 minutes I always take. I never took a time for myself. And that I think what you say, 10-15 minutes, just you calm down. Just I never go in the kitchen. I say, no, I will take care of myself. First I go to bathroom, take such a hot bath, and then I feel good, and then I go to the kitchen. And it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we never take a time off, never balance out of your balance. You waste your so much energy, which, as you say, hard work does not matter. How you balance out. And this was a very timely session.
Yeah, because sometimes we may, do hard work and we say, I worked really hard. But then sometimes after working hard, we may feel frustrated that that's what happens, that, oh, that frustration sits there, that, oh, I have to do so much,
Yeah.
I have to do it, like, then little things can bother us. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Sudha. Anybody else would like to share before we close? Yes, Loretta, thank you. I got your message.
It was wonderful. And I just wanted I mean, I'm thinking as I listen to others, it's just, it's a matter of finding the balance in everything. It's not just the physical balance or mental balance, but I don't know if I'm right or not. You correct me. For example, I always had issues, let's say, with my knees and stuff. So I was walking, and at some point I was feeling pain and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting older, not younger. That's not the news, right? So, but I'm trying to get my balance, and I find myself these days walking more, having less pain. And how I did it, it's like little things, like one thing at a time.
Yeah.
First of all, go little by little, put the right shoes on, be with the right clothing, eat, drink, good stuff. So the point is, like, even things that doesn't seem possible, it's like they become possible, but little by little. That the same thing you got to work with, like, I guess, with meditation and
Mm.
finding your internal balance, which is like the most important, what we are talking here. But I feel like if we work little by little on anything, we can do it. And we can just, we never say never, we never say no about something.
Mm-hmm.
And when we feel like we don't have control, or it's not in our court per se, we still should find a way, like easy, not like by stress or by saying, like, I need to get this solution today.
Mm-hmm.
Might not happen for a month, for a year, but the thing is, like, we got to work on little things and focus on little improvement, and that's what I feel it's working the most.
Right, right, right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, so wonderful. Thank you all for, joining and being in the session. It's always wonderful to have you all.